be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning.
Nothing could be finer
Than to be in Carolina
in the morning.
Hello, I'm John Malos, and welcome to Connect with Me on this Monday morning, live from the showroom floor at Ventura TV. Today, it's on the air, off the presses. We're talking with media guy Rick Bubenick. He's been in broadcasting or the media for the better part of 44 years. He's going to tell us about what's going on, the latest goings on in radio. Back in a moment with Rick.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And before we start talking about Rick Bubenick, he is our guest today on the air, off the presses. I do want to reach out and thank Tom Flores, the former head coach of the Oakland Raiders, two-time Super Bowl winning head coach with the Raiders, who stopped by our studio here on Friday. We taped an interview, and the reason I want to thank him is because he was on the way to a blood drive in Sanger, a very successful blood drive that took place with the Raider Nation on Saturday in Sanger. As you know, Tom Flores graduated from Sanger High School way back, I don't even know when, 1950 something. Anyway, he was gracious enough to stop by here and tape an entire half-hour show with us here on Connect with Me, and we're going to play that back, of course, at a later date so you can hear what Tom Flores had to say about Sanger and about the Raiders and about everything else. And now to our guest, Rick Bubenick. Let's go to the videotape, as they say. He's been in broadcasting for 44 years. Right now, he owns Ricana Media Group. Started that way back in 1997. It's a full-service regional advertising group. They help with marketing and advertising. They help choose the right course of action. If you have a company you want to advertise, Rick is the guy to see. You know, he started way back in 1967 at the age of 14. He worked at Curve Radio. It was a rock and roll station back then. His sister actually drove him from Sanger to Fresno so he could be on the air for part-time duty. He also worked in radio at Dinuba. He worked in LA, or tried to be a game show host there. He worked at KMAC, FM 94, Kino Radio, KMPH. He was also the general sales manager at KC24, a long and illustrious career in broadcasting. There he is in our studio, Rick Bubenick, a Sanger High grad. Back in 1972, he graduated. 44 years now, he's been announcing Sanger high school football games from the press box, believe it or not. We're going to talk about all the changes that are taking place starting today in the world of radio right here in the city of Fresno. Your phone call is important, 265-4331. Back with Rick Bubenick in just a moment.
Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're the save energy, save time, save money place. The Energy Star qualified #1 rated high efficiency Cabrio from Whirlpool Place. You heard right. Right now, save big on select Whirlpool Cabrio laundry pairs and pay no interest when paid in full within 6 months. At the hometown low price, think outside the big box place. Since 1951, Ventura TV Appliance Center. We're working hard to be your place.
And welcome back. Your phone calls are very important, 265-4331. We want to have you call in. Hey, connect with us. That's why we call this show Connect with Me. We want you to connect with us so we can connect with you, and the beat goes on. Right, Rick?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Doing fine.
Good to see
Despite
you.
the Giants, but it's okay.
Wow.
Don't get you going, I know.
I know. Don't get my blood pressure up. It was not a good weekend for the Giants or the A's, but that's okay. That's a different story. Hey, your friend Tom Flores stopped by here on Friday. We taped an entire half-hour show. We'll show that at a later time. What a great guy.
He's a great guy. Good guy.
Yeah, he has not forgotten where his roots are.
Yep, that little press box up there at Tom Flores Stadium in Sanger.
It is Tom Flores Stadium. He left Sanger in 1954. the year before I was born. I told him that. I just kind of reminded him of that. And he just kind of glared
It's
at
a
me.
year after I was born, so that gives you an idea.
Anyway, you've been in this game, gosh, 44 years. And as you look back, would you have changed anything?
Probably not. Everything changed around me to begin with, so I don't know. I held back at times. There's times that I thought maybe I should be the gypsy of the disc jockeys and start following it, go out of state and move around, but
Kind of like Howard Stern did, in a way?
yeah, like most of my jock friends did, and unfortunately most of them are drugged out, dead, whatever, so maybe it was a good choice that I stuck around.
Let's talk a little bit about your media group. Let's put a picture up on the screen of the first one, and you can talk about what your company does, and there's a picture right there of your studio. Now, explain what we're looking at and what your company does.
Well, we're a full-service regional advertising agency.
Which means what?
Our job is to talk to our clients that are out there or businesses that want to grow, make that cash register ring, rather than sit there and talk to 10 different TV, radio reps, print, whatever it may be. We do that every day anyway, and we're from that industry, so we have our contacts, relationships, so we know what the right buys are. So we lay out a plan for the client of what's the best medium to market, how they're going to market, and then we do the creative of whether it's TV, commercial, print, ad, whatever it may be.
What are
Lay
we
it all
looking
together.
at here?
That's my studio because my background is so deep in production, and I've been a disc jockey and announcer my entire life. I have my own studio, Pro Tools studio, and that's what that is. My 5 feet over from my desk is my studio. So
So what do you do there? What do you do in that chair
Produce
there?
commercials.
That's what you do? Okay.
Audio side of it.
Okay.
I don't do the TV side there. I do that elsewhere, but I'll create the audio. Whether it's my voice or your voice or anybody else, I can bring it in, post-edit, and then I can hear a spot on the air and within 20 minutes make a change, send it back out over the air, and it's back on the air in 30 minutes. Where before I'd have to go rent a studio somewhere, and it's a lot easier, more convenient for me.
Right.
Plus
There's
fun.
another photo right there, and what are we looking at here?
Just another view of the studio. That's in the background's my rack of equipment and just the expensive stuff.
Now, is that where you produce some of the TV stuff, or?
No, that's all. That's all.
That's
audio.
all radio. It's
That's
all audio.
stuff. Whether it's audio for TV, radio, message on hold, whatever.
Oh, I see. I see. That's interesting. You've been doing this. Why did you start this company back in 1997?
Well, the industry was changing, and after leaving Channel 24, then a brief stint at KMJ, could have gone to other markets, but could be the same cycle. The new general manager made it like my socks, so you're out of a job in 3 days or whatever it may be. But I've always wanted to own my own business. I grew up having that entrepreneurial spirit, having a father who had the first Toyota franchise in Central California, Benny's Toyota in Sanger.
Right.
And so I always knew I would have my own facility of some sort one day, and it made sense to do an agency since I had experience in.
You wanted
lot
to
of
be your
aspects
own
of it.
boss. You were tired of taking orders from other people. Is that it?
Yeah, I was looking for a
Kind of?
steady paycheck.
Yeah,
but
I know, yeah.
in your own business, that's not always the case, but
No, but there's more pressure having your own business, too.
it's a different pressure, but it's really allowed me to do other things. I've had a record label that's been successful in LA and in here. I have my production company. I do other things on the side with land development. I couldn't do that working for somebody else. So that's afforded me.
Because
do
you
other
had the
things.
flexibility as your own boss?
Exactly. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
have to report back to my wife. That's the biggest boss.
Right. Now, I mentioned in the open that you left a little bit, you left for a while to go to Los Angeles to be a game show host. What was that all about? Did you
after-
actually host a game show?
Well, I did my interviews at 3 different major studios. I went to Los Angeles to work. I had a second phone electronic license. Back then, to work at a directional antenna, big powered station, like in this market, KYNO, you had to have a first phone license. So I went to LA to do that. But while I was there, I was also going to audition for game shows. But back in those days, they were all these big announcers, older guys in their 40s and 50s, which are young now, Wink Martindales and Gary Owens, and everywhere I interviewed, they said, man, you got the pipes, you got everything, but you just look too young. Well, about 10 years later, a new genre came out with Nickelodeon and all that, and all the guys were now looking like they were fresh out of high school. And I tried it again, and they said, you look just a little too old for this industry, so
Yeah, that's amazing.
I never did
You
it.
went from looking too young to too old, huh?
Can't win, can't win.
Anyway, so with your business, have you seen a slowdown with the economy the way it has gone the past
Oh, sure.
4 years?
Yeah,
You've seen a big slowdown?
From about 1998 is when it began for us. 99 was tough. I handled a lot of automotive accounts, and those guys were one of the first to be hit, as well as I had 3 mortgage companies, and they all got hit hard. So it was a struggle. It's bouncing back. It's doing okay. We're not to the level that we used to be. I don't think we ever will be. But we're diverse enough to be able to handle it.
To weather the storm is what you're doing, right?
We've
Like everybody
survived.
else.
Yeah, we've survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just cut like anybody else.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about the radio changes that are taking place here in the city of Fresno with a couple of radio stations, actually 3 radio stations that are involved. But I think we have a phone call, or do we have a phone call? Nope, doesn't look like it. Are they there? I don't know. But we're going to take a quick break here on Connect with Me. If you want to call up, you can. The telephone number is 265-4331. Some big changes coming involving 3 major radio stations right here in Fresno. Rick Bubenick will tell us what's going on in just a moment.
From now on, when I sneeze, I'll try to sneeze more friendly.
Well, hopefully we're on the air today. We are live on the air here on the floor at Ventura TV on this Monday morning, on the air off the presses. We do have a phone call, Rick. Let's take it. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. What's your question for Rick?
Hi, this is Ed. The question is, how come the media keeps following each one and nobody's ever different? And the thing of it is this state of California is going down the tubes for businesses. Why doesn't the media tell them the truth? That's all I need to find out.
The truth about why doesn't the media tell them the truth? Tell who the truth about what?
Yeah, that's what I was missing on that. Well, first of all, with
You mean economically?
it's all money. It's all economics in today's time. So I heard something in there about why the radio stations, or if it was even radio, they keep following each other doing the same thing. Is that what he was saying? I'm not
I
sure.
think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
in other words, we're all similar.
Yeah, it's following the money trail because that's proven. Until somebody is different enough and bold enough and has enough backing enough to go out and make a change. But it's a risky business to do.
Does
something like
money
that.
dictate what stations do, whether it's TV or radio, and what people can say on the air? Does money dictate that?
Well, you would hope they wouldn't have an opinion on what they say on the air, but it certainly is how it's run. It's all about money. Otherwise, they don't survive. Unfortunately, that's just the society we live in.
But do you have to be cautious who you criticize, because you may criticize an advertiser and then they pull out? Is that a concern?
Well, sure.
That's
Sure,
always been a concern, I
yeah,
guess, huh?
Even when I was working in television, it was always.
But even more so
for the news.
today, do you think, in today's climate? Is it
Well, a
more
lot of people
evident?
sue happy and looking for a simple way out. And again, it goes back to money. They'll sue them for the money, for libel, or whatever they may say. But yeah, it comes back to, you've got to be very careful.
Yeah. Even if it's the truth, sometimes you got to be careful, I guess. I don't
Unfortunately,
know.
but I mean, people have a right to hear and learn. But
Yeah. So, do you consider this a free media? The way it's been portrayed the last, 40, 50, 60 years?
well, I think it's controlled free. You can say what you want as long as it's within this little box that they want you to talk into. But it depends on the format of what. If it's a news talk and somebody's doing a show where they freely speak, there's limitations on it. Usually disclaimers along the way as well. But
Right.
hope
Let's
that
talk
doesn't go
about the
away.
changes, especially here in Fresno. Let's first of all start with KMJ. Read on the internet that KMJ is going to take off Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity. Limbaugh is what carries that station and has for the last, 24 years.
what a while.
What's going on at KMJ? Tell us.
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert. I'm just in the business, and it's what hearsay, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble or say something I don't know. But the biggest difference is that Clear Channel Radio, which is the largest broadcast group in the United States, they own the rights to Limbaugh and Hannity and a few other things. And in many markets, they carry it themselves. In some markets, like Fresno, a competing station carries their programming. And it's a strong show, of course, so they've made a decision nationwide. Why should we let our best product compete against us and hurt us? So they're just taking it in. So Clear Channel Radio, which in this market has several stations as well, they're going to take the programming. That hurts KMJ to a point. Now, KMJ is a heritage
So it was
station.
Clear Channel's decision to take Hannity and Limbaugh off of KMJ?
Yeah, it was no choice of KMJ. I'm sure they didn't want to see that happen. But they've got to stay positive, and they'll do fine. But it's Clear Channel, corporate-wide, taking it back into house.
So where can we hear Hannity and Limbaugh now?
That depends on Clear Channel locally. I'm sure it will pop up on one of their stations. They have several FM and one AM. I don't honestly know which station it'll be. I can imagine it's probably an FM station, which is unique when they do FM on News Talk on FM. KMJ has tried it. But it'll end up at one of the Clear Channel stations.
It sounds like to me, too, that KMJ is not going to be the powerhouse without Limbaugh and Hannity that it once was. And this hasn't happened yet, but it will happen.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like they're going to be the powerhouse.
Well, who is then? Does that mean the next station that, if it's it'll be a Clear Channel station that they have rushed is the assumption that they're going to be the #1 powerhouse station? Not necessarily. You still have 50,000 watts at 580 on the dial, which is a great position. And more than likely, a lot of the Clear Channel stations are syndicated stations. So how much local news is involved, I don't know. KMJ will remain local. In fact, this will give them freedom to do other things. And I think they'll survive. I don't think there's going to be a mass exodus. Rush will take a lot of audience with them. There's no doubt about that, as well as Hannity.
Now,
But
KMJ
they'll
may
fight.
produce their own programming with talk, maybe news. Who knows what they're
More than
going to do with the
likely.
programming?
Yeah,
they can
it's hard to
do a
say.
lot with
A lot of syndication out there, so maybe they'll find a new
Yeah,
future Rush.
yeah, they could, but they got 6 hours of programming.
Or maybe
to
they'll go
fill.
left side. That'd be interesting.
Who knows? They're
Not
obviously
likely.
to the right now. So,
Sure.
but anyway, we're talking with Rick Bubenick. We got to take a commercial time out here on Connect with Me, and we'll talk about some other changes at 2 other radio stations that also involves KMJ. Well, pretty much. The KMJ is kind of caught in the middle on this, and we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Hey, your phone calls are more than welcome here. 265-4331. Back in a moment.
Is taking care of laundry taking too much of your time? Have you become a missing mom? With a new, fast, efficient washer and dryer from Ventura TV Video Appliance, you'll spend more of your day the way you want.
This Amana Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is now just $6.99, and this heavy-duty Maytag Super Capacity Washer Dryer Pair is only $8.99.
Don't spend your life on laundry. Upgrade today at Ventura TV Video Appliance and save.
Talking about all the radio changes here in the city of Fresno. I think it's going to send some shock waves through the Central Valley. So let's get back to KMJ. Apparently, looks like they could, I don't know for sure, I'm not going to say 100% sure, they could possibly lose the rights to carry the Fresno State football games this next year.
Well, they've always had that opportunity to lose that franchise.
Right.
But with some of the changes, there's always been a problem. Where do the Bulldogs go? I know at ESPN 1430 for years has tried to get it. It's also a lower powered station. But now with the changes of being on 940, 50,000 watt.
Yeah, let's talk about what's happening there. Okay, 940, Kino, owned by John Oslin, and of course ESPN 1430, owned by Chris Pacheco. They're joining forces, are they not?
Correct.
Okay, financially, I'm assuming?
I don't know the details, but I would
Yeah.
imagine there's some agreement.
So starting today, Kino is like sports?
Yeah, it's not KYNO. KYNO has moved to 1430. So ESPN Radio, and I'm assuming they're keeping the same call out as KFIG, is now 940 AM, 50,000 watt ESPN. And that's also a great thing for the community. All these changes, KMJ, whatever it may be, it's all good for the listener. Change is good.
So the word on the street is they're going to make a run for the rights to carry Fresno State football and take them away from KMJ. At least that's what I've heard.
Well, they've always wanted to. Several have tried over the years. There's probably a pretty decent opportunity now being at ESPN, and with the clout that a John Oslin has or a Chris Pacheco, I suppose they can. But KMJ's been with them for a long time, so they're not
Right.
going to give it up that easy.
Yeah,
So,
you
but
gotta
the opportunity
wonder,
is
you
there.
gotta wonder at this point of how committed. That's the question. How committed, with all these other changes happening at KMJ, how committed is KMJ to Fresno State football? That's what it's going to come down to, isn't it?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I got to believe they're going to go hard to keep it.
You think so?
I would think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, they're losing a couple of other major franchises in names, and to lose Bulldogs as well would be pretty tough to deal with. So
Yeah, but you got to look at
there's a
Pacheco and
relationship.
Oslin. They're going to go hard after it too.
no doubt, no
You
doubt.
know, I mean, that's the reason.
And I
maybe
think they
they're-
can compete now with
They-
the 50,000 and being ESPN. I think they have a good shot.
with the 50,000 watt plus the the joining of forces financially. Maybe they can do it. Who knows?
Could
but,
be.
But starting
It's all good.
today, though, Kino is no longer Kino, right? It's ESPN.
Correct.
Okay, and that's on 1430.
Correct.
That's amazing. Listen, I got to put up another picture up on the screen, and I'm going to show the viewers where you do business. Hey, is that your office?
Oh, yes, it is. That's
Oh.
that's Laura Lopez's desk,
Oh, okay.
my assistant.
All right. Okay, and that's kind of where you do business. The other thing that I want to show, and very interesting, take you back to in time. You once worked at Kino Radio way before John Oslin owned it. I want to put up a picture on the
Boss
screen
Radio.
and listen to yourself on the air back in who knows the Stone Age.
1975.
Okay, let's listen.
Kino's got a bumper sticker for you to put on your bump. Pick it up at Body Comfort Waterbed, Cedar Shields in Fresno. It's 1003, Stampeders and Sweet, Sweet City Woman.
Sweet, 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 sweet city woman. Sweet, 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 sweet city woman.
KYLO, my sweet, sweet city woman. Stampeders at 10:06 in the morning. Ricana, how you doing today?
You get it better at the Warehouse, California's largest chain of record and tape.
13 Kino.
10:08. And watch out, Dickie Goodman. Kino's two-week picnic grand prize winner will be drawn Monday afternoon from all those regular picnic winners. A backyard barbecue for yourself and 10 of your friends is up for grabs. It's going to be fantastic. 3 dog nights, Shambhala. KYMO Shambhala, 3 dog night at 10:13.
7 and 10. That's why he's number 1.
Oh my gosh, that was you. Hey, you had a great voice.
Thank you very much.
You had a great voice.
I was
back
younger
then.
then.
You were younger then. That's right. What year was that? 74.
74, 75, I'm not exactly
On
sure.
Kino.
Yeah, the Big 13.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was a blast back then.
You were only 10 years old then, right?
That's back when AM was king. FM wasn't really out there yet.
Right, right.
So we had
Well,
a
AM is
third
king
share.
again now, at least temporarily. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? I don't know. Maybe it'll be FM coming back. Who knows? We're talking with Rick Bubenick. Your phone calls. Hey, if you want to call in, we've already had one call, and the line is open, 265-4331. Back in a minute.
Sunday night.
Let's move.
A perfect night for crime. A perfect night for me.
You've got to help me.
Me TV, that is. With detectives,
My name is Gunn.
fugitives,
I didn't kill her.
guns, Surly,
This is the Twilight Zone.
and much, much more.
You'll go along with that, won't you?
Sunday Night Noir, starting at 10, 9 Central on Me TV.
Oh boy, I should laugh because we were laughing at that picture, that last photo. I mean, my hair back in the 70s, it looked like a Raiders football helmet with a mustache. It was terrible.
Wow.
I don't know what we were thinking back then. But hey, you're from Sanger.
Yep.
You're, graduate of Sanger High back in '72, and now you own some property out there, right? Your dad had Benny's.
Right, Benny's Toyota, right,
Yeah, I
right.
remember Benny's.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, he passed away about 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And I've been blessed to have left with his properties, so I'm building a shopping center in downtown Sanger.
Yeah. What street? Where?
7th and Academy, the main corner of all of town.
Great. A lot of people in Sanger want to know what's going to happen with that corner now that
Yeah.
Rick owns it.
He
What's
calls every
happening there?
day.
So, but
Hurry
you're
up.
building a shopping center.
Yeah. Fresh and Easy is my anchor tenant. They're having some difficulties in the United States, so whether they end up Staying with it or not, we don't know yet. But there's
Yeah.
so many other people that want that corner, and I'm going to go ahead and develop the rest of it and wait on that corner.
Okay,
Money talks.
let's take a phone call. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me with Rick Bubenick. How are you?
Oh, I'm just fine, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. What's your question for Rick?
Well, my question was he on the air when they did the Homegrown album way back when?
That was 66 or 67, if that's the album. There's been several done over the years, but unfortunately, I didn't get to do any of the albums that were there.
Because these are all local artists, and I think this was in the 70s. I got it then in the 70s.
I know in the early mid-60s they did several of those with local bands and so on, but I was there what they called during the Shazam era, which is after Boss Radio, and it was called Shazam. We were still #1, of course, but so much happened. It was a fun thing, and I was just the youngest kid on the block, so I got to do all the weird shifts because let the kid do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was happy to do so.
Well, Kino was always, when I was a kid, you know.
That was it.
That was Kino,
That's right.
#1, but I know this one was in the 70s.
Right. Do you remember listening to Rick on Kino back then?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Now they tell me, yeah, my mother used to listen to you. I go, oh, or my grandmother.
We've all aged, right? It's such a young man's game. I really appreciate your phone call. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you for your show,
Thank you.
too.
Yeah, thank you. You have a good day.
You too.
All right.
By the way,
thank
one
you.
thing I forgot to mention, for about 7 years I did a network radio show out of my studios here for the K-Love Radio Network as Rick Allen. My old boss, Mike Novak, is the president and CEO of the K-Love Radio Network, so it's up in Rockland, California. It goes out over 400 stations across the country, but it's contemporary Christian rock and roll, and I had a blast doing that up until a couple of years ago when the economy turned and they cut everything back.
There's something to be said for experience, but is this a young man, young woman's game? Media?
Yeah, you've got to stay hip. I don't pretend to know everything, so some of the people I use in my creative side, and even in the average, especially with social media, I have to rely on some of these younger kids because they know what's hip. I
Like
think I know.
Facebook and the
yeah,
internet
Twitter,
and
all
that
those types
stuff.
of things. I mean,
Yeah.
ask a 20-year-old or less, and you're going to get the answers nowadays because they grew up with it. And I don't need to know everything. I just need to know where to go to get this stuff. Now, I have the expertise and experience of knowing trends, but it's still a young man's game guided by somebody with some maturity.
What do you have to know in this day and age, 2012, to be successful in the media, as opposed to when you and I started?
Well, some things never change, and that's consistency. Once you start doing something, be upfront about it and just stay with it, even if it's a little bit, but just stay consistent with it. But know your competition and know your product well and let people know about it.
No matter what end of the business you want to get into, whether it's in front of the camera, behind the mic, production, there are some things that never change.
Sure, and that's knowing who you are and what your
Right.
goals are, and stay true to yourself, stay honest, and go for it. Some things I don't think ever change.
Yeah. 44 years now, you've been doing that Sanger football stuff in the press box, the announcing.
Yeah.
Chuck Shadan is the coach over there. He's been coach for what, 20 years?
He's
I don't know,
20,
or more.
23.
Yeah.
I say it every week and I don't remember. But yeah, he's been, of all those years I've been doing that, working with that coach, with Chuck, I just met him for the first time about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because he's always on the field and I'm always
Yeah.
up at the box.
He's
so I
such a
never see
great
him.
guy. We're going to get him on here as a guest
Good.
one of these days. So when is this land going to be developed? We got a timetable now when Fresh and Easy is coming in and all that?
I get a call every day from somebody wanting to know. I wish I knew. It changes daily. I was hoping to break ground before the end of this year. It's still a possibility, but we're looking at a lot of opportunities. There's so many things happening in Sanger that are very positive. They're bringing a lot of new business, and I get at least once a week a call from somebody about my property wanting to do something.
Right.
So we're talking to all of them.
Yeah, a lot of business has moved out. Some is coming back in.
Right.
You've got a nasty mayor's race going on right now between Victor Reese and Joshua Mitchell.
Yeah.
And Victor Reese is going to be here in a little while. So a lot of stuff going on in Sanger. A lot of interesting things.
Small town politics.
Yeah, really,
I try
really.
to stay clear.
Well,
close
yeah,
to
stay
that.
clear of it, will you, Rick?
too.
You want it?
I'm a property owner. I just need to just do business.
Hey, come back, my
Appreciate
friend.
your time.
You're a good man.
Hey,
You're a
appreciate
good man.
that.
I appreciate your time.
Just keep telling me.
Rick Bubenick, our guest today. Tomorrow, Blair Looney of the Better Business Bureau. Have a good day.